what happened was that we had many years of entrenched Labor Party domination of our council, which, in my view, in my opinion, resulted in people abusing their positions and taking liberties that they certainly weren't entitled to take. The problem seemed to crystallise in the way development applications for some developers were handled. And I must confess there'd been long rumours about this sort of conduct and the way some development applications were handled throughout the city. Those rumours had been around for many years. The city was having a lot of trouble moving forward generally, in some respects because, and this is my opinion, there's long been what we call a blue-collar mentality in the town, which for a certain era was fine, but many aspects of the community haven't moved on from that blue-collar mentality. Therefore, we had entrenched opposition to a lot of development and a lot of modernisation of the city. Some of these developers, with the relationships that they festered rather than fostered with a number of these entrenched Labor councillors, found that there was an easy way to do things and an easy way to get their development applications through, and that was, of course, by corrupt conduct. Improper conduct by the developers, inviting and receiving corrupt responses from a number of councillors. So on that basis, a number of developments that did not accord with planning guidelines were approved. They should never have been approved under the guidelines as they stood. The other problem, of course, with all of this is that there has been a huge amount of criticism that Wollongong City Council, including its General Manager Rod Oxley, never updated the local environment plans under which these developments are processed. So, one contributed to the other, they all snowballed, and we got a situation down here that in the end became not only intolerable but completely corrupt. I'm totally opposed to the notion of administrators. I'm opposed to the notion of them because I consider that it is basically a gutless action by a gutless and corrupt New South Wales Labor government. They took a stance some time ago of rather than going to an election, local government election here in the Illawarra, they would put the administrators in for a period of time. I perhaps mightn't have minded that if it was just for a very limited period of, say, maximum 12 months and get us to an election. It's undemocratic, completely undemocratic in my view. In a practical sense, all of the anecdotal evidence that is coming back to those of us who are in business in town and those that have to deal with them is that they are incredibly frustrating to deal with as far as progressing any worthwhile development applications in this city. There is some split in the community in the sense that people feel that there is, a level of stability has been brought in and that some projects are going ahead. Certainly the Blue Mile is going ahead, which is aesthetically good for the city, but it's not a project that brings a huge amount of business interest or investment into the city. So in that sense, I don't think they're doing any good for the city at all. I mean, they're not locals. They have no heart for this city. It's a job. That's all. One of the things that gives a community a heartbeat is things like sporting success. The major sporting facility in this town is an absolute disgrace. Nationally and internationally, this is a joke. There are major sporting fields and stadiums around this country which have had millions of dollars thrown at them. We are a Labor stronghold. We have a so-called member for the Illawarra, and yet the heart and soul of our sporting district, the WIN Stadium, is a disgrace. This community, for some bizarre reason, continues to elect Labor representatives rather than challenge the Labor Party in a longer term view by kicking some of their members out from time to time. I mean, if you love Labor to death, okay, make them work for and earn the respect and the vote. Our health system here is nothing short of appalling when you look at some of the problems some of the lack of care that is put into the area health service. The people that work there, I know a lot of them, they're fantastic people working under incredibly bad conditions. As I come back to the point that I think it's a symptom of successive lack of real care for this district by entrenched Labor parliamentarians. Development is bad. There's not enough money coming into the city. In that sense, we're really running on the back of the university in many respects, and the steel industry. We've got the most magnificent coastline in the country. There's just not enough poured into infrastructure and development approvals down here, in my view. The bottom line, in my view, is that we need local government to return here. We need elected local government. We need it. We're not going to get it before the next election. We've got to acknowledge that. But I would like to see an independent council, an independent Lord Mayor, take stock of this city, or anyone other than those entrenched in the past. That, to me, is the way forward. The political parties have to be made to work for and earn the votes and the respect and support of the local people.